This is the rhythm of change. This is the sound of redemption. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. Igniting the fire within you. Exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness. And let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shouting loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
don't show up. Don't, no, and she said it with all the blackness that she could muster up, didn't she? Don't even show up. Wait a minute. Translation, sit your ass down. See, she couldn't say it because she's a congresswoman. I can say it because I'm not a congressman yet. Sit your ass down. You know what, Vincent? I got to tell you, even in Washington, I would say that. See, I think that there is a level of decorum and political correctness that kind of whitewashes the ugly dirtiness of what's going on, right? And my grandmother always said, you know, if you go and fight with a pig, expect to get dirty, right? So if you're going down to this dirty place to exorcise the demons, you got to expect to get dirty. And so to go in there and say to them, sit your ass down. I like that. Not understand the enunciation, right? Not sit your ass down. Sit your ass. See, that's all one word. Sit yo. One word. SITCHO. Sit your ass down.
But how can that be done if we are not critically thinking about how we vote and put these people in office?
Well, we continue to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Well,
we've had some results from the primary yesterday, right, Vincent?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. So some voters told them to do what? Sit your ass down. I gotta get a shirt. I'm a designer shirt today. Sit your ass down.
Here we go.
What'd you say, Diane?
Oh boy.
Here we go again.
Sit your SITCHO. Sitcho?
HA.
No, it's not Sitcha. It's not Sitcha. Is it Sitcha or Sitcho? Which one would it be?
I don't know. I don't speak Ebonics. Nor do I know how to spell it. They deprived me of that education also in my school system.
Oh. Yeah. Sitcho or Sitcha? Sitcho. Okay.
I think it's sit your ass down. See, go ahead and say it the other way. Sitcha. See, it doesn't see. When you say sit your ass, see, then the O just kind of rolls into the A and ass, right? Sit your ass.
Yeah, because it kind of brings in the your.
Yeah, and so maybe that's all one word. SITCHOASS. Sit your ass. Hold on. Let's take this. Hello, caller.
You gotta get with CHA. Cha.
It's cha?
Yes, sit your ass down. Come on, y'all can't get the young people coming to the show. Y'all can't talk to them, man. I gotta get out here in these streets with them. Yeah, see,
I always thought it was
if we're gonna come from the street version, we gotta become correct with that too.
All right, listen, I want to do a survey on this because I'm gonna do a survey and whatever the consensus is, I'll design the shirt based on the consensus. I always thought it would be sit your ass.
See, that's where you go wrong. There can't be no consensus with people that don't say it. Right? So right now you're talking about you're going to go and get a consensus. The people that say Chuck don't use the word consensus. So you already in the wrong group of people. You got to go down to the people. You got to get the people where they're at. And the consensus people.
So when I'm saying consensus,
there you go. And the division has officially officially started at 10:07.
So, Farrakhan, are you saying that when I say consensus, people think I'm saying the census? like the 2020?
Pretty much. Pretty much, my brother.
So with all that said, Eric, so where did they change their vote? Where did they sit some MFs down at?
Well, let's start with AOC, who had some huge opposition against her. She had the Democratic old party heavyweights. She had Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton.
They all came for old girl, man. They Diane. Hillary Clinton traded in her hot sauce for a shank in her pocketbook.
You don't say.
Yes. The millennials told them all, sit
your ass down. We need like a little sound bite that I could push the button. Sit your ass down.
There you go. Yes. We're looking at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, come on, give it to us.
So now, what's going on? So Mitch McConnell is in a battle. You know.
Yes.
I mean, he's really in a. Not only Mitch McConnell, but Lindsey Graham is in a fight.
Yes, he is.
So there are some heavyweight Republicans who are shaking in their boots right now. And then there are some establishment Democrats who are also quaking in their boots.
Yes. So when Eric has been preaching about downline and blowing up everything, we're starting to see it happen.
People listening to the show, bring it down, 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 down.
We don't need.
That's right. No black faces without black voices. We don't need no Puerto Rican faces without Puerto Rican voices. We don't need any gay people without gay voices. Sit your ass down. I'll take that.
That's right.
I'll take the sit your ass down. So yeah. So there's a lot going on. And you know, and Vincent, you and I, and I said to you, I said, I you know, for me it's about performance indicators, right? You know, I go based on history, and history didn't suggest to me that millennials would actually come out and do something. You know, I thought, as they've always done, you know, they take the Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever the latest thing is, and that's kind of where they're operating. But something I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm no longer a complete pessimist, but I am cautiously optimistic. But all of the things that are happening, we've talked about them here on this show. We talked about iconography. We talked about the fact that all these statues need to come down. Remember, I played the clip, and they were talking about how in Germany, you know, one of the things they did was they wiped out all of that iconography in order to be able to bring in some healing. And the fact that here we have all of these images, you know, that just continue to support the structural right side of this racism. And you know, we've just been kind of living with it. Nobody said anything, it's just there. And now folks are saying, no, you know what, this is a problem. Like, you know, we shouldn't have these things here. And it may have started with the, you know, and I think it started with Colin Kaepernick. I'm going to give him that. Because after he started taking his knee, and people started looking into the national anthem, you started reading those lyrics and understanding the history of it, and it didn't make sense that we were singing it. Right? Like, what are we doing? You know, and so you just look and see, and as we all say, it's all baked into America. Like, you could look at every facet of America and see, and that's why it's got to be blown up. You can't, you know, you can't just take one piece out. You got to blow the whole thing up, including white Jesus. White Jesus got to go.
There you go.
White Jesus got to go. Got to go, got to go, got to go. And here's what I'm going to say. Because I think that white Jesus was instrumental in the emergence of white supremacy, right? Supplanting in the Black American or enslaved African that image that didn't reflect them but reflected their oppressor, right? That image overtly, you said earlier, Vincent, that it was subliminal, and I said no, it was like a 2x4 in the back of the head of the enslaved African, reminding him and her that
and Diane broke it down. No, it was overt to them. It was subliminal to us.
I don't think it. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it was subliminal to us. I think that it was meant to be a very in-your-face. See, God is we're made in God's image, not you. I don't think that was subliminal. I think that was intentionally overt. We're made in God's image, not you. And so what we say goes, you are subhuman.
My race is all power.
Yes.
Right. And the same subliminal message with the statues. They put the statues of these white generals who lost, but they put the statues up like they were all power.
No, I think that the statues were subliminal. But I think that the white Jesus was overt. Call a go.
Eric, I just want to say, I'm sorry to have to call back so fast, but I just got to say, if you're going to tell black folks they need, and white folks that they need to get rid of white Jesus, can you please go tell black folks to get some guns?
I've been saying,
you just asked for war.
Farrakhan, where's my permit? Where's my application for my permit? I've been telling them, Farrakhan.
But what does one have to do with the other? What does having a gun have to do with
I'm trying to put that together to help me. Because the white people will go crazy if you attempt to take white Jesus and the white disciples out of that Catholic Church. Really? Let's go to the book of Isaiah, which describes Jesus.
No. It don't matter how he's described in the Bible.
The book is in Africa. Okay, let's be clear. And they still made everybody white.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's not be foolish here. If you go and you tell Tony Soprano that he got to take white Jesus off of the what's that chapel they got up there, Sistine Chapel or whatever, they gonna go crazy, man. You're talking about now that $1 million paint can't be that $1 million paint. How about that? It's still a lie.
No, wait a minute. Guys, I got to interrupt. And I'm sorry to take us back to
I agree with you, brother. It's a lie, and we need to take it down. Oh, no, I agree to take it down, too. I'm just saying we got to be, when we start to wake ourselves up, we also got to start to protect ourselves. And that is something that we're missing.
Well, you know what, Farrakhan? It's not when we wake ourselves up. It's when we shake them to their core. That's when we have to start protecting ourselves. See, because what fear, right, is a result of the unknown, right? And so people who are comfortable in knowing what they know, and now all of a sudden you shake and you rock that foundation, right? You can't really anticipate how they're going to respond. And so, yes, you have to be prepared to defend yourself.
That's right. And we can't anticipate it because we've seen it. We see right now white guys in New York standing in front of, or not New York, that was Pennsylvania, standing in front of the Christopher Columbus statue with machine guns. Like, y'all not coming? Not anymore. That statue's gone. Okay. But they had to sneak and do it at night. Mm-hmm. They did. Because they're that crazy. So what I'm saying is, as we go forward, one thing I'm just calling to sort of like just throw it out there. Hey, we're gonna have to get ready because it's coming. It's coming.
So, but Farrakhan, back to Yo and Ya. So Mark Duncan posted the Urban Dictionary, and it's yo ass. Y-O. Yo ass.
Oh, your ass, but you used the word cha. You said get cha. Not your. You didn't use the word.
No, sit
your
yo.
ass is
No,
Y-O.
sit yo. It's SITCH apostrophe YO.
Now I disagree. I guess that depends if you.
Those are two different things. Those are two completely different things. Sit your ass. That's a completely different than sit ya.
But I think it depends on.
We ain't gonna have an Ebonics debate on the joke. But I'll say this: the guy that wrote Ebonics book ain't an Ebonics talker. I can almost guarantee you that.
Let me tell you something.
So what you're saying
I
is
think
that
it
the book.
depends upon whether you're above the Mason-Dixon line or below. It's either yo or
Or
yeah.
Here you
So,
go.
I mean, really, tomatoes, tomatoes.
Well, I got to design a shirt. So I got it.
Well, I say yeah, Y-A. And
So it's,
put on the back yo for those who didn't understand the front.
there you go. I like Farrakhan's version of the man who wrote the book on black language ain't black. So it may be in his book. It may say yo, but in reality, to true black people, it's ya. So tell them to sit ya down.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to find it because there's something that I was asked to mention on the show today. Oh, here it is. So I was asked to do this, so I'm gonna do it, and you guys should check it out. I guess you know how I feel about these nonprofit organizations. I've talked to you about it, but anyway. The Urban League of Essex County and the NAACP, they're holding a virtual town hall meeting. And the town hall is exploring COVID-19 and civil unrest. And you're going to have as panelists Dr. Sharif. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's the CEO of University Hospital. The facilitator will be Vivian Cox-Frazier, who's the president and CEO of the Urban League of Essex County. You have panelist Dr. Mark Wade, the health director for the city of Newark. You're going to also have as a facilitator Tom Puryear, Oranges Maplewoods NAACP president. You're going to also have as a panelist Assemblywoman Mila Jassy. Is that it, Diane? She's the chairperson, Higher Education Committee. And then you're going to have panelist Deborah Kornavaca, Deputy Chief of Staff, Governor Phil Murphy. And then under the criminal justice piece, you're going to have our own New Jersey Attorney General. You're going to have a facilitator, Deborah Gregory from Newark. Oh, we had her on the show. She's the NAACP president. I got my challenges with her.
I got my challenges with the whole panel.
Yeah, that's like so they now doing a tour of the counties,
right? And then you
because
got
that's what they doing.
Then you
They
got
did Union County last week.
Then you got as another
go ahead.
You got as another panelist, New Jersey Senate Senator Ron Rice, Senior Vice Chairperson, Public Safety Committee, and you have panelist Theodore Stevens, Executive. Essex County prosecutor. So, now Ted Stevens I like. The rest of these folks are suspect, to say the least, right? And my but so there's going to be the town hall. Maybe you want to check it out anyway. And it's Wednesday, so that's today, right? June 24th,
Yes,
from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And to register, I'll put this flyer up on my page, but you'll go to ULEC, so Urban League of Essex County, ULEC.zoom.us. And then there's a whole bunch of numbers, /J/86135240206. And in order to be able to join the Zoom session of this virtual town hall.
Just put me to sleep. I I think a lot of panels are useless. I think they're only productive when you have insight from the community asking questions and the people in charge giving answers. If all you want to do is continuously talk in a circle about what we already know, then you're wasting everybody's time.
Yeah,
And it's just a show.
My concern always is when you have the event put together, like you said, Diane, when it's put together by these groups of people, right? They already know what they're going to talk about, right? And that's really not, I don't know how productive it is. I think what you want is a community-driven platform. And then when these folks come, they have no clue on what's going to be asked of them.
Right. And they're asked questions based on their position and based on the departments that they oversee. I think that's more productive than anything else. That's why a lot of these mayor panels and community meetings don't produce anything out of it, is because they're put together with the questions already ahead of time. They already know who they're going to ask the questions from. They already got their people planted in the way. Like, it's a waste of time. Because if you thought it was productive, you wouldn't have to do all of these panels, because you would see action coming out of it, and then the panels will be talking about, this is what we completed, this is how we're moving forward to expand on this, what we did last week, what we did last year. But that's not what's happening.
Yeah. So anyway,
but good luck.
Yeah,
but I say, participate, listen, maybe you'll get, I look at it this way, there's always room to learn something in each and every panel, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. So you should go in and come out with something that you did not know before. Whether you found out that these are really smart people trying to do something, or you really elected some dumbasses. So you should come out with something.
We're going to come out with the fact that we're going to be unified about getting rid of white Jesus.
That's not going to be the goal. Because one, you have to then talk about we're not monolithic in our religion. So while people who are not Christians are talking about removing white Jesus, there's people that are Christian who don't even look at a white Jesus nor think about it, or have it as a symbol in their church. So, is that going to change the course of our life? Is that going to make the quality of our life better where we're at right now?
Yeah, I think, listen, I'm telling you.
Is that an immediate improvement?
I think it
will.
I think that removing white Jesus.
Yes, I am. But then again, black people are different things to look up to for pride and understanding. And the sad part about this, right, and I'm not trying to be funny, is we've been having this debate in black America since good times.
Amen.
Since good times or since Archie Bunker? Which one was before? Archie Bunker in before good times? Same year? Okay.
Yeah, Archie Bunker was before good times.
Am I confusing? No, they acted all from the same guy, right? Norman Lear, right? So they all came out. I think Good Times, All in the Family, and what was the other one? George Jefferson. All came out like within the same year of each other.
No, they're all Good Times and the Jeffersons are spinoffs of Archie Bunker's All in the Family.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Archie Bunker was the beginning of the year, but by the end of that year, George Jefferson had his own show before that next season.
Third season.
Right now with when I said the Good Times was because of the episode, right? The famous episode when Michael brought Black Jesus home and he was arguing whether or not.
No, JJ painted Black Jesus.
Oh, that's what it was. Like I remember the episode, and it was a big thing about that. And we've been fighting, and that's 40 plus years ago. Yeah, that's 40 years ago.
Okay, but if I could back,
we've been doing this forever.
If I could back something up.
So 1 second. Going back to the panel. When you go to these panels, what is it that you expect to come out of these panels? Like, what is the topic of the panel again, Eric? What is the main goal? They're saying to talk about what?
Exploring COVID-19 and civil unrest.
So what is it that we plan to come out of that? The civil unrest and COVID-19? Because whether it was not COVID-19 or if it was just economic depression, what the hell do you expect to come out of that conversation? And I think that's what people should go into it thinking. What is it that we're coming out of this with that's going to improve our daily quality of life, and what can be done immediately to make changes?
Right. So my belief is that nothing's going to come out of it with regard to that. what's going to happen, though, is all of these people need to be in the forefront, right? In discussions about these things. And so that's what the panel is about. That's what this thing is about, so that they have a voice in the community. It's not to really edify anybody.
And I think this panel is a waste of time because they are 3 months too late with this. 3 months too late. We're already dealing with the civil unrest. I mean, we've already sit up there and watched people protest saying, "I can't breathe." We're already dealing with the fact that we are disproportionately dying from this disease. We're already dealing with the fact that we've got food insecurities. We're already dealing with the fact that, you know what, we are disproportionately receiving the economic stimulus. This is late. 3 months too late. All this is an exercise in fertility. This is like, remember, Diane, you were talking about that movie where you had some hope that it will redeem itself, but nothing? That's what this panel is. It's late. These are a group of people who are trying to hold on to their job because they see change is coming, and now all of a sudden they want to get on the right side of history.
So this is the next question. The next question is, what do we do about these inactive organizations, NAACP, Urban League? What do we do about these organizations? At what point do we say we infiltrate them to change them to what they should be? Because they have not represented us as black people or supported in favor of us outside of what they were trying to gain on the political side. How do we hold them accountable? Because we're yelling at the politicians, but the politicians are in a corporation are funneling money through these organizations that we allow to remain alive. So how do we dead them and those that are in here and remove them? Because there need to be requirements we put on them now as well.
We create our own. We don't have to go infiltrate the NAACP. You create the organization you want. Diane Clemens, Murray. I'm trying to be like Eric and say your former. There you go. She creates the organization she wants. Vincent Squire creates the organization she wants. He wants.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We do the same. Okay, that's what you do. You find a like mind that want to be down and move a certain way, and that's it. I don't gotta go listen. Let the NAACP fall off. Get with the program or don't. It does not matter. Okay, if I want to do something, I go out and do it. You go out.
See, right, but then you have the other thing of what we talk about with politics. Why recreate the will when you can take over the will? Because there are more inactive members of the NAACP than there are active members that really want change, that really want to see us progress, but just have been inactive because the leadership itself has been inactive.
Correct. The whole issue is that we have to do a combination of what you're both saying. One is that we either have to let it die a natural death because it's inactive. It doesn't do very much of anything. In fact, the majority of it is just the signal or the banner of what could have been or what used to be. And our millennials aren't listening to them, who are the bulk now and the driving force of this movement that we're experiencing. Now, so let's not. This may be one of those situations where we can either get some people in there to bring life to it, but we have been seeing that for decades, where people have been trying to put life into it, yet they stuck to the same old mantra. And this movement now is taking shape. And I think it may be, and I hate to say this, but I think it may be too late for the old guard. It is now time for the new guard has now taken the baton and they are running with it.
No, well, I don't know that they've taken the baton, and I don't think that this is as organized as I think that they're emotionally charged right now, and I'm still waiting for it to peter out. And then they'll go back to their PlayStations and Game Boys and whatever else it is that they do as millennials.
That's the danger, though. Here you are as a man that understands and knows what we need, right? That discusses it every day on his show. And you're saying that you want to wait and let the energy teeter out back down to nothing.
No. I'm not saying that I'm waiting and letting it do anything. I'm saying that, again, I am cautiously optimistic, but I am a realist based on history, right? So let them prove me wrong. Let them prove me wrong. I'm not throwing any boulders or obstacles in their way to try to discourage them. I am just speaking based on past history, right? And I'm
Well,
saying this
Eric,
is what has
when you
happened.
make that statement, that's an obstacle that can discourage them.
No. But what I no. But I don't want to enable them either, right? So I want to speak realistically to them. So I'll give you an example. Well, I didn't really have these kinds of issues with my kids, but let's assume that I did have academic issues with my kids in school, and they weren't studying, right? And they had an exam. I would say to them, you know what? You're not studying. You're not gonna do well on that exam. How do I know? Because you didn't study for the last 3 and you didn't do well on it. That's not an obstacle.
Well, and there's two things there. We can use history as a way of seeing it being repeated, or we can use history as a way of changing the trajectory. And
Yeah,
I
right,
prefer
but I
to use
think
it to change the trajectory.
I don't, look, I would love to, right? And so changing the trajectory with my kids in terms of their studying and say, hey, listen, why don't you go and study now? Oh, you studied 2 hours this time where you didn't study before? You're bound to do better than you did before because you studied for 2 hours, right? That's changing the trajectory. But to tell them, but to give them false hope, right, when they're doing the same thing, and no, the results are going to be the same. So
Well, that's the part that I'm talking about. We know what they did before, and if we are to have any level of parenting or direction or leadership, we now know what they did before. We use that to change the trajectory. We don't simply say, okay, look, if you're gonna watch TV all day, you're gonna fail the test. No, you turn off the TV. These kids right now are taking a stance, and I want to do everything possible to encourage them to keep it going. We just seen the election and primaries where these children are now taking a stance, and their parents are following suit.
You're 100% correct, and I want to encourage you too. I've talked about it. We've talked about it. We've talked about the civil unrest that needed to occur in black families. We talked about the civil war that needed to occur around the dinner table and the dining room table in black families. We talked about that. So I'm not sure those things need to they need to happen. I am
and they are happening. So let's let it happen and let the positive result come forward.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something to what Diane said, which is about doing something about these historical organizations. The other problem we're having is the money. The reason those historical organizations are the way they are because they don't get their money from the people. Right? So if we don't finance these organizations, those are the type of organizations we end up with. See, those organizations have to placate to the people who are giving them money. Right? They got to make them happy. They got to show them efforts that make them happy. They can't radicalize the world or change the world if that's not what the people who are giving the money want.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is that they're compromised.
They were compromised from inception.
Thank you.
The Jewish community put together the funding for the NAACP, not us. And see, that's the truth about telling about the history and knowing where you come from. If people don't have the conversations or willing to have the conversation or how we got to this point, you'll never be able to change anything because they're living under an illusion that we've done something where we haven't done it alone.
I agree with Diane. So we need to let it die. Let it die a natural death. It has served its time, but now it looks like it is just rotten to the root.
When you're talking about these particular organizations, you have to talk about all institutions, your educational, the educational systems as well have to be addressed as well. So it's not just the institution of these private nonprofits that are getting their funding, but it's where we're being educated at. That's a big part of it too. Those institutions have to be changed around. And the police departments, those institutions have to be changed around. So when you go to these, going back to these panels, that's the conversation that people need to be talking about. What is it that you're changing in these institutions that's going to make it look different than before? And not only what are you going to change, this is what we want you to do. These are the demands that we want. We want it to be reflective of the people in the community by percentage-wise. We want it to be reflective in administration of people that sit on the board or people that are making executive decisions. We want that percentage to be reflective of the community and to stay that way, not to just bring in one person or two people this year and then 5 years from now you wean them out, and when they retire or they quit, you don't replace them with the same. And not just having people like a Kamala Harris that looks like us but passes enough for you guys to make you feel unthreatened. We want somebody that's actually going to be there fighting for the people.
Diane, when you running for office, I'm voting for you.
You can't vote for me, and if you do, it'll be illegal, and then they have to throw out the election.
I'm writing your name in the ballot. That's it. But you're absolutely right. And that's what they've been doing. And that's all these panels tend to bring out, is this a simple thing of political platitude where they get some black people in there to, agree to their narrative and soothe you over or lull you into a false sense of security that they're going to do something because they want to keep their job because they see the change coming. Now they want to be part of the change. It's all crap to me.
It's only crap if we allow it to be. So again, we have to decide what it is our standards are. When we change our standards, we can change the standards around everybody else, how they see us and how they view us. But we can't be one off on every particular, issue, and then it dies and goes away. We have to be consistent with what we do. You look at other communities, they are very consistent on the demands that they want. You take the LGBTQ, all of those letters, and they are consistent in how they, in their approach and their demands and what they want, whether it's through the education, whether it's through how you see me, it's all of that. How
medical,
you treat me in my school, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally agree. That's why, and we have to, as we said before in the show, if we're going to this panel, we should not be going in there with the pretense of what are y'all going to give us. We should go in there with the mindset of what we need and what we want.
And with that, Vincent, I think one of the bigger issues is we always want something, but we don't know what we want. So we don't know how to ask for what we want. So we accept what's given to us. I posted something earlier about, I forget what it was about, but people went on to talk about reparations and stuff, and it shouldn't be just a check. And no, if we get a check, we shouldn't. We should have financial education if they give us a check, because these N-words is just going to spend their money and it'll be done in a year. Well, we could spend our money any way we want, but why do you assume that reparations only comes in one form?
There you go.
You get so single-minded on what you think it is because that's what they said to us, because you didn't do research to see exactly where we're at in this world and where we should be and how we're affected by everything. So it's not just a check.
There you go. That's part of it. And that is truly part of it. And the other thing that we have to look at is we're going to have pushback because, as we said before, we're not monolithic as a people. But we are herders as a people. We have to push forward. For those who are right now thinking against us and don't seem to understand or see the big picture, because as much as we like to talk about it, sometimes you cannot tell somebody, explain to somebody with a small mind the big picture. They have to see it. So let's push it forward. Let's, like I said, if we're going to this thing, then yes, we should go there with our own agenda and stop listening to their narrative of political platitude and what we're going to do for the people. We should go there with the simple fact of, you know what, you need to do something about the disparities of black people being arrested. You need to do something about these police who are using our money as source of revenue for these little small towns. You need to do something about the way they are treating my son when he is doing nothing but being a teenager or a young man. We need to do something about the food insecurity.
This is too long, Vincent.
Right.
Okay.
So, speaking of all of that, right? Chuck Schumer came out and was critical of the Republicans' proposed legislation, right? Saying that it didn't go far enough in dealing with these various issues. And I just found it laughable because you've had Chuck Schumer, what did that chart say, 37 years, right, in government? And so I would say to, Chuck Schumer, in all of the years you've been there, you haven't gone far enough. Right? You didn't push the envelope. You didn't take risks for me.
You stood in the way.
What?
But you also got to understand Chuck Schumer wasn't put there for us.
No,
and that's what we keep forgetting. We talk, these people have been there for years.
I'm
correct.
No. I'm not under any illusion that he was. I am simply reminding the listener and the viewer that the guy who is now saying that other people didn't go far enough as they're, engaged in, in platitudes, right? Chuck Schumer himself had ample opportunity, right? He saw in New York what was going on, what was happening to black folks. He had an opportunity many a time to take risks for black folks, but he didn't. And so I'm just pointing out that he didn't go far enough. So, yeah, they may not have gone far enough, but neither did you, Chuck Schumer. And so, I think that he's one of the ones that needs to sit his ass down.
I agree.
Right?
I mean,
you understand what I'm saying?
agree.
Because I'm looking, I'm saying, wait a minute. What measuring stick are you guys measuring success and failure by? Because you're not applying that same measure to yourself or any of your Democrat colleagues. And that's all I'm saying, Diane. So I know that they weren't put there to, advocate on my behalf. But just to try to remind people of it.
The measuring stick is really easy, Eric. The measuring stick that politicians use, and I'm sure you know this, is status quo, right? If people are living the life that they've been living, that's the measuring stick. As long as you didn't go from a house to the park bench, okay. As long as you kept some type of job, kept some type of consistent way of living, then that was your measuring stick. And that's why we have been in the position we have convinced, people to not change the station that they were in life. As long as it doesn't get worse, you're all right. And that's what the politicians, that's all it takes for them to have a career for 37 years, right? To know that the majority of the people
to manage the status quo.
But you know what I'm saying? As long as that person has, in whatever district they represent or section they represent, hasn't had to, you don't have to get rich and move out of it and do better. Right? As long as they don't get to doing less, get to doing worse. That's it. And that's the reason why black folks are in the position we've been in. Because we haven't, even though we haven't gained, it doesn't feel like we've lost. And as long as it doesn't feel like we've lost, the majority of us are good where we're at. Simple.
And we look at, once again, Chuck Schumer trying to rebrand himself. I mean, he stood in the way of so many good bills, proposals, and policies. Now, all of a sudden, he says, they haven't done enough for black people. Really? Really? Come on, Chuck. They tried to do enough. You were key and instrumental. You, Lindsey Graham, and that other fool who's about to lose his job. All of a sudden, now, he's thinking, maybe I better get on that good side here. No. You placated white crackerism in politics way too long. You got to go. Sit your...
See, you gotta say it. Sit your ass down.
No, because, my professor in Lancaster Bible College, who's looking to get me my doctorate, listens to your show. So, no, I'm not going to say that. But I'm just going to say, sit your...
Hey man, listen, I'm convinced that Jesus, not white Jesus, but Jesus, at least according to the Bible, when they said he went in and turned those tables over for those money changers, I'm sure he was cussing up a storm, man. I don't think he went in there calm demeanor. Go ahead, Vincent, say it. Sit your ass down.
No. I'm good. I'm good. I mean, I'm working on temperament and dialect because people, when you go out and you campaign, people criticize that if you are splitting a few vowels here and there or making some explicitives that, they not like it's the first time they ever heard it. However, when it comes out of your mouth, there's this special, place in hell for you when you say it.
Got it. So what else is going on, guys? What else do we have? Oh, the coronavirus is making a comeback. Don't call it a comeback.
Because I've been here before.
Don't call it a comeback. What?
Mama said not you.
What? Hey, listen now. And it's happening in the states that opened up prematurely, right?
Right.
And they said we were gonna have a second wave, and they said the second wave would have a much more devastating impact on the economy.
Yes. Well, let's look at it. The virus is making a comeback in the trumpeter states. For those who would listen to the narrative that it was going to go away by summer. So there was no need to close down. So they waited too late. For those who listened to I don't need a mask, and people were like socially gathering. For those who said that we needed to open up the economy because we needed money more than we need to live. This is the result of it. This is what all of the scientists and experts were saying would happen. It has now come true. Yet
I think it's a result of people not working together and being collaborative on fixing the situation and finding solutions. When you have government and medical operatives that are not even willing to work together and say, look, let's put this plan in place. This plan is going to help everybody. Let's move forward. Instead, you have people who are pushing back to say there wasn't a problem. And then you have other people pushing their own agenda when it came to vaccinations, where we didn't even we still aren't even at that point. But they're fighting that so hard that people were overshadowed by all of the noise happening that they just said, well, we're just going to live life vicariously and do what we want to do. Mm-hmm. And that's the result of it, because the economy didn't have to be a complete shutdown, because as we saw, there are many people that can work from home and business can still continue. Now, yeah, there's a lot of blue-collar workers that will be out of work because they were more service people, in-your-face type people, but there's a lot of part of the economy that is still going.
Yeah,
so that's not an excuse.
Well, but the biggest part of the economy, again, when you look at it next to government, you had the hospitality, food service kind of industry. And those folks, they weren't essential, so they were shut down.
Of course. And now that people have gotten to the core understanding of what is essential and what they actually need to survive, then why now did they rush to go and open up the economy on these non-essentials? The American economy is based upon a great deal of things that we truly don't need. A lot of them are wants and desires. And this pandemic has proven that. Yet they push the narrative and divide the people by saying that you have to go to work. This virus is not all that dangerous. We don't need this, we don't need that. And it was against the better angels that everyone was telling them with caution and safety. So now
the bigger issue is not the fact that people had to go to work, because they do have to go to work to feed their families and to keep a roof over their head, is the fact that when they shut stuff down, they didn't have a plan to keep money in people's pockets until it really hit their bottom line, and they said, oh, let's issue these checks so people could start pumping money back into the economy.
Right.
And then what they found was there was a larger percentage of people that were saving more than they had ever saved in years, because they were waiting for the bottom to really fall out. Because they said, nah, if this is it and we're not back full time and they're giving us this check, we're going to hold back as much as possible.
Yep.
If you're putting in place where you're not going to do evictions or foreclosures during this period, we're going to hold back on that money too, because now we got a safety net. But they didn't provide a step 2 plan. They got a phase in plan of opening up the economy, but they didn't phase in how they shut it down. Is not going to reverse the same way, and that's where they're at, because even with the opening of the state, they have no consistent plan across the state line.
Well, the other
they
thing
started
they
off
didn't do,
saying
Diane,
New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania was going to work together in Connecticut, and then the next thing you know, they started working independently together.
Yeah.
So nobody is actually working together to make sure systematically across the country, from the East Coast to the West Coast, that everybody's doing it consistently the same.
Yeah. The other thing they didn't do is they didn't take into consideration consumer confidence, right? So they figured they just turn light switch back on and things would go back to normal. And they didn't really look at the fact that you open that restaurant, I'm not going in there, right? I'm not going. You open up whatever it is you want to open up. And I said this weeks ago, right? I said they're going to be, there's a third, and a third. The first third of people are those people who are just gung-ho, right? They jump off a bridge or jump off a cliff, or they'll go do anything, right? They thrill seekers. So those are the ones who you see right now out at all these places as soon as they open. Then you've got that second third, right? That's looking and going, well, I'm not sure. Let us give it a couple of weeks and see whether or not there's a surge in coronavirus cases. And then you got that final conservative third that's saying, well, I want to see who dies first. and that's where they are. And so because of those thirds, you're not going to have, even though the economy opens, so they open up businesses, these businesses are still suffering, and they haven't accommodated for that. And so pumping the money or giving people money, again, if they're not spending it, they're not pushing it back into the economy, they're saving it, it runs contrary to the purpose of the stimulus package in the first place.
And I'm agreeing with Diane. It's the simple fact that, it was piss poorly planned. And we looked for, a lot of the states looked for leadership with our commander-in-chief, who turned out to be the liar-in-chief. They made, hold on, let me finish. And then they acted too late to get it done. Now everything is opening up, and hey, I'm like what Diane said. No, I'm holding on to my reserves, because I don't know, or I don't have confidence or trust in what these great minds who are running our country right now, our states and our cities, are going to do. So no, I'm not going out there. I'm not risking this life limb and all that other stuff until it is absolutely safe.
Are we forgetting the people's role in this? I'm talking about the everyday citizenship, because I hear everybody talking about the political side of it. But what I recall and what I remember, there was a bell, was that the country shut down because they were ordered to shut down, and it was advised to shut down. However, the people refused it. The citizenship of this country refused it. They said, I'd take the risk. They went and marched on their capital. They marched with guns. They marched in car parades. They forced their state to react. So they're capitulated to it. And I'm not mad at the leadership. I'm mad at the people. The people said they wanted to be in this death pool. Not the government. The government shut us down. Remember that? 3 months ago, we was all stuck in the house. Couldn't go out over there with the exception of going to get you some food from the supermarket. Right? And then after a month of that, people started saying no. And we saw them taking car trains up to their capitals. Yeah. We saw them going up to their capitals with guns. to force the government to open back up. So I don't know if we can blame the politicians.
Well, yes, we can, because let's look at the totality of it, okay? And we talked about this on the show back in late February, early March about this virus coming, and we expressed that it was already here. Now, we looked at that, and we looked for the commander-in-chief who knew it to shut it down. He didn't shut down the country. He shut down travel to China. The country did not get shut down until the governors individually, after tired of waiting, said that we can no longer do this. We are shutting down. Some governors, like New Jersey. Oh, no. Please let me finish. Please let me finish. There are some governors who worked in tandem and worked together. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania have worked together to correlate to make sure that everything was done at the proper time and that we were moving into sync. And some didn't. The commander-in-chief, please let me finish. And it's only going to take another 30 seconds. The commander-in-chief, therefore, said that we need to get the economy open and got his forces and his constituents to go there and demand that they open up their governments. That's where all that division came from. But for the most part, everybody knew that the best thing to do.
So where are we now? And how is... So where are we now and how is post...
I'm sorry, Diane, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay. So where are we now, and how does post-COVID-19, mid-COVID-19, reintroduction of it, going to look for us now? What do we do? Because one of the biggest things that we got to worry about is the education of our kids. Our kids, as black kids, were behind before the schools closed down. Now the schools are closed, what are we going to do? How are we going to help advance them? Because regardless of whether the buildings are open or not, our kids still need to be educated.
Diane, there's only one. Well, you got two options, really, right? Maybe three, right? Essentially, but the bottom line is you take the risk. Either you're going to take the risk and the risk of exposure, or you're going to become reclusive and stay in, right? Because they have no cure, they have no therapy, they have no treatment, right? So there is nothing to do but either say, I am going to err on the side of caution and take all the precautions I can take when I'm in public, okay? Or two, I'm just going to shelter in place on my own, in my home, with my children, with my family, work from home, and homeschool my children, as you said the other day. Those are the only choices. Either we're out here in it, and you do what the best precautions you can do, mask and gloves, and consistently wash your hands before you touch yourself and so forth, and disinfect surfaces, and have as limited close contact as you can with people, or two, you stay in the house.
So with those options, then shouldn't part of the conversation, and even going back to this panel, this conversation, especially in Essex County, should be talking about clean water and how we're going to be providing clean water, not only for those who have a residence, but those who are still considered homeless. So because what happens is we transition from one problem to the next problem to the next problem, and we let the problems behind it go. We don't stay consistent. This is what I say as people. We don't stay consistent with the fight. We let other stuff override the most current and the new hot item, the hot topic. And then we stop talking about the bad water, which is still a big problem, which if you don't have clean water, the hell are you washing your hands in? Dirty water?
Yes, you are. And then you're looking at the other thing they found out with the dirty water is that it has reversible damage in terms of your brain, memory, speech. All that becomes lost with the water that you're actually drinking. But if I could back up to what you said, where are we now in this post-COVID-19, is we have to come to the realization that we're not in the post-COVID-19. We need to continue on the things that we have done to keep us safe. Mask, as he said, washing your hands, social distancing. We have to now come to the realization that next school semester, our children may very well be continuing what they're doing, learning from home, which means that we're going to have to take a great deal of patience and understanding and getting to know our children and how to motivate them to learn so that they can continue on or move on to a level of success. We're going to have to come to the realization that for right now, our commander-in-chief is doing nothing but giving us a false narrative, and we have telling us and make those decisions for ourselves and what we're going to do and how we're going to move forward with our family. We're going
so 3 sentences is too much.
Oh, how come I'm the only one to get a timer? Hold up.
Because you're the only one that goes on like that. And you know what? And I'm going to ask my daughter, who's a teacher, what do you call it? Because it's not a run-on sentence, but it's one of those you take the whole sentence and you just put a new topic at the front of the sentence and then take it to the next sentence and put the next. It's close to a run-on, but it's not there. But anyway,
it's called kitchen sinking.
Well, the Washington, which is a bad political thing, so you might want to remove yourself from that. But the Washington Post posted an article in regards to a coronavirus because they do their live updates, and they talked about that the U.S. is scaling back testing aids despite the surge in cases. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the area where I'm at. I'm by Weequahic Park, and Weequahic Park is a county park which they consider the testing site. I have noticed from the beginning of when they set it up, when they shut down the park and you couldn't go into the park, to now they have scaled back to where the stadium used to be at, and now they either scaled back to just one run on one side of the stadium to a point that it's about to be non-existent, and it's the same for the one that was located on Bergen Street in Newark. So even though, and this is even behind the stupid comment that the president made at his rally talking about we need to stop testing because more people are being discovered, so let's cut back the testing, which is the most asinine thing ever. But the thing with that is, okay, so now you cut back testing, people are still getting it. What are you going to do? What are the precautions that we're going to take as a whole to not continue to spread this invisible disease, that illness that we still don't really know where it came from or how to stop it?
Well, you know what, Diane? Right there, you just said it interesting. Like when I was last, when I think about this, you said the invisible disease. First off, people need to stop seeing it as an invisible disease. I see it as, when I look at you, I see the disease. See, like, that's the first thing you got to look at everything you touch and every person you see. Oh, shoot, that's corona right there.
So look, that's like going back to thinking. Remember, Farrakhan, that's like thinking when AIDS and HIV came out and you didn't want to have sex. That was like in the 80s, and I was just like in the high school age, and he was like ready to go out there to do it, and he was like, "Ugh, they got the cooch." I don't know. It was like herpes was the big thing, and then there was AIDS, and he was like, I don't know.
Diane, let me ask you a question. Are you HIV positive?
No, sir, thank God.
Okay.
But that's by the grace of God. I don't know because I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
No, that's by the simple fact that you had that level of caution.
I was run at you. When you was at the roller rink and you was at the White Castles after the rink and all of that, you saw the guy HIV. So you said, I ain't going it. And listen, we got to do the thing. You got to look at everything as a possible threat. That's how you win in wars. That's how you win in fights. Right? I don't care whatever battle you're in. You have to see everything that's coming your way as the enemy. Right? And protect yourself from it. Right? Every time somebody walks out your house, when they come back in, you got to look at them as corona. You got to give them everything.
Oh, God, please don't let my husband get it, because that's how you see it now.
I don't know what the daughter's name is, but she got to be Diana Corona. That's got to be her name. If you walk through that door, all right, hey, Diana Corona, hit the showers. Take that
right down.
It's got to be that. If we're not doing that, we will be talking about this. If anybody survives it, we'll be talking about it this time next year. You understand?
So
we have to get that level of it.
It's funny that you say that, Farrakhan. So I sent you an article. I don't know if you had time to check it out. Mississippi, you did that. They're stating that Mississippi barbers are receiving free training to become mental health advocates. What do you think about that? Because you know, when you go into the barbershop and the hair salon, y'all are really like our therapists. We sit there, we talk about our relationships, our kids, our sex life, our parents, death, stuff that we've done in the streets, good and bad.
I spent an hour last night on the phone with a client that called me. Said, "Con, you got a minute? I need to talk to you about some things." He broke everything down, and his cheating woman said the money she did him dirty. She hit the ticket or something like that, and didn't give him with his money. Played his number. Was supposed to bring him the ticket. When the ticket hit, she went cash the ticket. Gave him what she wanted to give his own ticket. Right? Then, then it went to everything. Well, remember when she had the little friend up in Orange? I said, so listen, I understand. We do need to be fair. I need to be able to put up on my wall some kind of license with a fully certified, mental health therapist, because I've had it all. I mean, I've had everything from men talking about their daughters being raped to their wives cheating. You know what I'm saying? And believe me, don't no man want to talk to another man about his wife cheating. Right? But they get down in the chair and be like, listen, how about talking about my wife went and had a secret abortion? All types.
Wow.
Right?
Well, he is right. The barbershop and beauty supply has been our basic group counseling and group therapy since its inception. So yeah, getting people to get a professional level of it, I'm all for it. But because at some point in time, somebody has to be the adult in the room with these conversations, and someone has to be the voice of reason. So if it comes from your barber, then hey, God bless him and keep that going.
So Farrakhan, who do you get to dump on? Because that's basically mental dumping. And that's what they talk about in the school system. My daughter talks about it a lot. Parents or kids or whatever the emotional situation is. And I have one of my daughter's friends, she's same age as her, they're in their 20s, and she works for DICES. And I was talking to her the other day, a few minutes, and she was just dumping about the tragedies. I mean, you talk about COVID and the issues that we're dealing with. We got kids that's locked up with their rapists in the house. Their parents, the uncles, abusers, parents that sold their kids for sex for others. I mean, stuff that's like people that you probably walk past in the streets and just don't know what's going on. Like, where do you get to dump and unload so that you stay mentally stable? What do you do?
I have three things. One, I meditate. Two, I play the guitar. And three, I talk on the Eric Dawson radio show.
Oh, look at you playing the guitar. See, you learn something new about somebody every day.
See, I'm not the only person who dumps on the show.
I have like 6 guitars. When it gets to be too much, I'll go grab one and just sit back in my chair and practice. Or at this point, I'm back to doing it, but I meditate every morning for at least an hour.
That's good because there's a lot of articles out there now about just about mental illness and the mental illness in our community of Black people that we don't talk about, and especially with men, they don't want to go get help when they have stress. And stress is one of the biggest things that kills us, raises our blood pressure, all of these different things, because we don't understand the mental. And when we say mental illness, we think that somebody's psychosis is off or something like that, and it's not that. And it could be from depression all the way up to schizophrenia, but we don't talk about it or even talk about it with our kids, being that we're stuck in the house now. We're spending more time with people we love, but we love not to spend a lot of time with the people we love as well. We love them sometimes more when we're coming and going in and out the house.
Well, generally in the Black community, they don't speak to psychiatrists or psychologists or counselors because they believe that the only thing they need is their Black Jesus and a bath.
In the bath?
Yeah, soaker, tub, that bath.
Oh, okay. I was listening to the question you asked Farrakhan about where does he dump, and I often wondered the same thing about like psychiatrists, psychologists, right?
They have their own psychologists and psychiatrists. I got a couple of friends. I've asked them that question too.
Right?
They're required actually by mental health to do it.
I couldn't do. Hey, Farrakhan, listen, man. I would have to cut hair with headphones on. Because I don't know that I could all day. I mean, that would just be too much. Too much.
Eric, you got to remember, people are called to a certain industry.
Sometimes, Eric, it is a little too much. Because like I said, you get listen. Just like I've gotten husbands talking about the wives while they're getting in there. I've had wives come to the shop to talk to me about their husbands. Right, like it's. In all types of situations, and people call you up all different hours of the night sometimes, because something is going on with them and they respect your view or your opinions on things. Yeah. It's overwhelming, but I think for me, now I'm 18, 19 years into doing this, so I've sort of gotten over it. And I think what happens is you build this friendship, so they don't just become clients, right? There comes a point you got to realize, like, some of my clients, I see them more than their mothers see them, right? More than their children see them. They're in the chair 52 weeks a year, right? And right, as opposed to their mother, who they might only see once because their mother doesn't live on this side of the country or even in this country, right? So they have more conversations with me than they do some of the closest members of their family. I have more conversations with some of them than I do my own child. I don't talk to my daughter every day. I wouldn't mind it, but she's
Is that a man thing that you don't talk to her, or that's just how relationships just don't do that?
As they get older, they get a little bit more distant. Now she's, in North Carolina, as opposed to here in Germany, and I don't know, they don't think to call you as much. And I'm like, listen, I ain't gonna keep calling her, and she don't do that. She ain't deep for talking to me. She ain't deep for, and we don't have a problem. It's just how it goes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is very strange to me, because I talk to my daughter every day, just about, unless we get on each other's nerves and we need a day off. But we talk several times a day, and that's how I was with my mother, and that's how my mother was with her mother. Literally every day. What you watching on TV? What you doing? What you eat for dinner? What you do at work today? What y'all talk about? What's the gossip for today? Every day. There's not a moment in a time that she does not call me. And FaceTime, all the time. Now, the only time we didn't have that type of communication is when she went off to college the first year. Well, not the first year, maybe after the first 2 weeks that she got acclimated to the school, because that was her first time being away for such a long period. But other than that, that's kind of when we didn't. But after she left college, it was still that even every couple of days, or even if we didn't talk, we're texting to see what's going on, or I'm checking my phone, her location, to see where she's at. Just checking. I don't know. Maybe that's just Mama Bird being nosy, a little bit too overwhelming. I don't know. Maybe I'll back off from that conversation. Maybe I'm a little needy. I don't know.
No, I did the same thing with my mother. I made it a point I made it a point to call her at least once a day, and we would call and check in. She wanted to know what was on TV, or how to operate the Roku, or anything. But it was a part of communication, and it was a part of that spiritual connectiveness that we have, and or mother birding, as you want to call it. But that part is essential and needed in life as we grow in relationships with everyone. That connection is still needed. It's just like a plant needing water. So the same, if I could bring back to the salon being a part of therapy for a lot of people, it's that same thing, that level of connection, that level of understanding that from somebody who is a part of, but not totally into, to hear your actual perspective, and to let you know if you have missed the mark, on the mark, or totally went left field. So let me cut this off before Diane stopped me.
So you did good, because I was about to.
Hey, Vincent, that was some restraint that you showed there, man.
Discipline. Look, Eric, what do? You have to train them, condition them.
Hey, Vincent, did you realize you were being conditioned?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
Did you also realize that I was taking it in, taking notes, and learning very well from it?
I'm impressed. I'm very impressed.
Yes. But, by the way, how do you feel about people talking about Colin Kaepernick being nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize?
I don't know what the criteria is for a Nobel Peace Prize, so I'd have to research that and see. Because there's some people I think that got it that I couldn't understand why they got it.
Right? I think it's justifiable. I don't like I said, I don't know all the criteria, but he has been a catalyst for a worldwide movement, and he has never wavered in his vocalization of it. So I would think that, because he has done nothing but represent, and if you listen to him speak, he has spoken, articulately and honestly and naturally about the whole matter. So because of that, I mean, whatever I mean, if he meets the requirement, then he probably should get it. But he has done enough as a humanitarian. Just being the first real victim of that movement. He was it. He was the sacrificial lamb, all of it, right? To a movement that betrayed him, okay, walked away from him. Then now it's coming back to him. Think about that. It's been 4 years, right? 3 or 4 years since he first took a knee. Okay?
4 years.
Right. And we're just now getting back to essentially thanking him for it. Right? Because for the last 2 years, we ignored it. Like, we for 1 year, that first season that he did it, there was all the rah-rah and all the rage. And then after that, every athlete, everybody, every fan went right on about their day. But he stayed out of the league, blacklisted, and all of that blackball.
Yeah, they villainized it.
I'm gonna call it fight ball. I don't know why I got to be called blackball, right? And now here it is, the same people that destroyed him, right? That took 3 or 4 seasons of the best part of his career as an athlete, where time is on your, not necessarily on your side. Now we're saying, hey, he was right all along.
It was like Muhammad Ali when he spoke up and they took away his pride.
Right? Yeah. Right. So I think that if he meets the criteria, he's got my vote. If that's what the criteria are, he's got it.
No, I agree.
Go ahead.
Oh no,
Eric?
Very briefly, I agree. I think that I think that him being in the forefront, the things he's endured, right? We don't talk about the things that he's endured as a result of the stance that he's taken, and unwavering about it as well. So yeah, I think that I think that him winning the Nobel Peace Prize would add, and it's a shame to say this, right, but some additional legitimacy to what he did, right? It would cement it in terms of what he did and the aftermath.
Memorialize it.
That's absolutely correct. It would become immortal. Yeah.
You know what else, Eric? From what you just said, him winning the Nobel Peace Prize would also give it legitimacy to this new era of people.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. Who don't relate to the Nobel Peace Prize and who don't hear it or think of it, in terms of their generation. For someone that they can see and understand from their generation receiving it, and for what you would receive it for, that gives a legitimacy to it. It brings it back current.
I have to agree with that. And for that matter, I think that, they should give the Nobel Peace Prize posthumously to Muhammad Ali.
Absolutely. But even with that, why do we always wait for them to award us for what they say is a prestigious award or trophy? Why do we not hold our own? And because what?
Because we want their approval.
And why do we want their approval?
Now that's because that comes from the Willie Lynch syndrome. That comes from slavery. That comes from being under their foot all of these 400 or 500 years.
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. Whatever you want. Black people want the approval of white America and of white world. That has been what has destroyed the black community. Not necessarily what white America did to us, because when they stepped to the side and said, okay, we're going to give you these so-called equal rights and so forth, and of course, yes, they manipulated all of that. The biggest problem was all we wanted to do was show white people we could do what they do just as good. Not better, not more articulate or more intelligent. Just, look, white folks, you did that, we can do it too, and we can carry ourselves the same way. We want their approval. When we stop wanting their approval, maybe, maybe the NAACP should have gave I always mess up his name. I'm gonna just say his name.
Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I always Kaepernick. I mess it up every time. I don't know why. I try. Right. But maybe they should have at their image award should have gave him an award. Maybe the athletes should have given it, but they did it, and they won't until white people approve of what he's done. That's the sad reality of it, right? I haven't heard of him getting any of it. He didn't get the BET award. He didn't get the hip hop BET award. He didn't get the Soul Train award. I haven't heard him get any of those awards, right?
Right.
And
He didn't get the NAACP award.
Right. And he won't get any of those awards until why he might this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this year you will have the commissioner for the football saying, okay. You'll have other organizations saying, okay, you could maybe even giving him a job back in the NFL. So now with those approvals, black folks can approve it too. That's the sad reality.
Interesting.
Wow, I can't believe we're all on code today.
Well, that's because...
No. We're not all on code. We're always on code.
Yeah.
Everybody's always on code. But I think we are today, as Eric said earlier, we all are in consensus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what we are today. And we should be, because that's another problem we have as black Americans. We all are fighting for the same thing from different angles, and we can't ever agree. So then we
So it's funny that you said that. So now I'm going to mention, don't forget the book. We're reading When Affirmative Action Was White by Ira Katz Nelson. And so I'm saying that because here's the banger for the day. So today, I posted earlier today, and people always, I don't know why people, I think they love to engage on my page to be angry and to be happy at the same time. I don't know, it's like a love-hate relationship they have with me. So one of my posts this morning, and right now I'm just looking at it, I got 196 comments since from 2 hours ago when I posted it. Trump has done everything to promote white supremacy. Why doesn't anybody want to talk about how Obama failed black people? Why are people afraid to talk about how our quality of life has not been improved? One person posted in here 50 of his accomplishments, his top 50 accomplishments. And I responded to him, well, did you check out those accomplishments? Because none of them specifically were for black people. So Trump came in saying, I want to make America great. I'm here to fight for us, for white people who were like me. This is for us. But we ran to the polls under the assumption that Obama was for us as well, but it didn't turn out to be. So why is it that we don't want to talk about the failures, and not necessarily his individual failures, the failures of us as black people, and why we didn't do what was right? And the reason why I'm asking this is this thinking on how we voted for Obama is the same way that people are going to go out and vote for Biden because Obama's standing behind him, and the same way that we vote all the way down the line. So what do we do? Why don't we want to have a conversation about the truth?
Well, conversation about the truth is that we have to actually face the truth and look at what do you consider his failure to the black community, and then look at what brought on that failure. I can tell you this, is that I know of 40 bills that Obama had for the people of color, black community, including it was somewhere close to $400 million for historically black colleges that sat right there on Lindsey Graham's desk that he held. So one of the biggest reasons why a lot of it didn't happen is that we did not back him up in terms of the other elections. We voted on the presidential, but we didn't vote on the other elections, giving more people with a like mindset to make that change that we so desperately needed to happen at the time we wanted. And look, I'm not going to sit up here and say that I'm an Obama fan, because I'm not. But I will.
So wait, so take this example. So if he did not have the Congress and the Senate behind him to support the way that he needed to get stuff passed, Why didn't people do what they're doing now and get out there and protest and push them to work with them? Because now they're pushing for people to recognize them and listen. Why didn't we think that we as individuals didn't have that same power then that we do now?
Well, if I could answer that question, Diane, is that we had to sit up here and come to realize...
Somebody else speak for a second, okay? Because I have to ask, before you give your speech, okay? Diane, what people are you talking about are out there protesting? See, that was my whole point,
Okay.
It's Black America doing. You understand? What's happening in this nation is not happening because of Black Americans decide to get out and push a fight, right? Now, we might have some a higher percentage of young Black youth out there, but not even them are doing the coordinated political fight. They might be doing the protesting and yelling, but as we've already discussed on this show, they are not doing the organizing and planning, right? So with that understood, the problem with Black America and Obama is very simple. We can't talk about him because we know we didn't do it. Right? We may have voted him in, but we still didn't do anything. And that's the problem. And we're still not. Right? And none of this, we are not being the game changers in our own world.
So hold on, Diane. Can I answer your question and my view on it? And I agree with Farrakhan, but I want to add this to what Farrakhan said. The generation that is right now out there protesting is not the generation that was eligible to vote during the Obama administration. The large bulk of these kids are basically just hitting 18 to 20. So we're looking at a whole new group, and it was the other generation that did not back them. It was our generation that did not back them. It was the generation before that did not back them in the other elections and races, because, as we say on the show a lot of us has been dealing with that Stockholm syndrome. A lot of us were looking for somebody else to do it. And a lot of us just were basically trifling and saying the only thing I'm voting for is the presidency.
But I think when you say that, though, Vince, that you're missing that. I mean, I won't say that it's a lot of those people. I would think that it's a mix. I mean, yeah, surely there are some that are too young to have voted for Barack Obama. But I would think that there's a huge 30-something crowd, which all of them could have been first-time voters for Obama, or even the other thing. We all remember when Obama was first elected the first time, parents were bringing their young children into the voting booth.
The booths, yep.
Right? So they may have, that might have been their political introduction, I guess is what I'm saying, to get active. So now at the age where they can, they're doing it. So I want to say thank you.
That's exactly what I said.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. Because he might have been the catalyst for the next political change. That same thing we said about Colin Kaepernick, however you say it, okay, might have been Barack Obama right now, where a certain group of people failed him, but there's a group coming up behind them that come out of it. And there you go. Right? And that's what we might be seeing right now.
Correct. We're now looking at the people stepping into place, taking their position. They're not waiting for the old guard to give it to them. They have taken the mantle and ran with it to define and give us our new norm. I'm supporting them. I'm doing everything I can to direct them, or whatever the case may be, because these kids are not waiting for somebody to come up and organize something so they can go out and do it. No, they're tweeting it. This is going to happen. Be there. I love it.
So now they just need to get more organization behind them to get their agendas talked about, as opposed to just the protest.
Well, see,
they got the first step. Now there's more to it.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of having a Diane, out there who can talk to people, who is an influencer, and say, okay, now you're here. The next step is that we should go there. Someone to mentor and guide them and help them.
Wait, Diane, did he just call you an influencer?
I am an influencer, but I'm not. That does not win me over with Vincent.
Yeah,
he's got to do a lot more than that.
I caught that, Vincent. it's like, damn.
Yeah.
Why am I the only one who always gets spanked on this show? I'm starting to feel some kind of way. Farrakhan, when the barbershop opening up? I need to talk to somebody. We're going to talk about Black Jesus.
So on a local level, when we briefly talked about this in New Jersey, there was an article at NJ.com, and they talked about New Jersey renters and homeowners facing an avalanche of evictions if they don't get help, says the advocate. But my comment to that is the only reason that the renters won't get help is because they didn't put a plan in place initially to help to address the property owners. And if they want to really address the property owners and the renters, what they need to do is mandate refinancing on all the mortgages issued by the banks that receive bailout monies, provide or mandate interest rates capped at 3.5% with 30-year terms up to 4 families, eliminate balloon mortgages, reduce the credit score requirements to 600 credit score, and mandate automatic tax freezes for those 60 and older. And then maybe then the relief can then be mandated to the tenant side, that the property owners could then give relief for the tenants. What are your thoughts?
I'm all in for that, because it is large corporations, the mortgage companies and institutions, the hedge funds operators who have been getting the bulk of this economic stimulus money. So we should just assure that.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's me kissing never mind. My husband died. Bye.
Oh, that's your husband?
I thought my voice
Oh,
was
that's
echoing.
not me. That's somebody. That's you. You are echoing. Somebody got the show.
No, that's not me. I'm in an empty room.
I'm sorry, that was me. I'm trying to listen to these governors who are the tri-state governors are talking, and I must have hit the mute button. I had it on mute and unmuted it somehow.
We forgive you, Farrakhan.
I'm trying to get through this because they're talking about these new travel restrictions and some rules and quarantines that New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut are now going to be doing. And so I was trying to do both, and I think I moved my tune because I was trying to hear like one ear, one thing, and one ear the other, and I think I hit the button.
That's okay, because even with that, and you're talking about the travel restrictions, they talked about, there's also an article in NJ.com about flying out of the Newark airport anytime soon, that there are some things that you could expect post-coronavirus. For one, they have now these clean and safe vending machines where you can get the non-medical face mask and gloves and hand sanitizer and stuff like that,
Hey, Diane,
right out of a vending machine.
Are they going to shoot people's foreheads to check their temperatures before they load on a plane?
Well, what they're saying is they're selling the masks, bottles of hand sanitizer. They have giant yellow signs reminding people to keep social distancing from each other. Hundreds of dispensers are scattered throughout the airport. They're squirting out lemony, fresh-smelling dollops of sanitizer. It's unforeseen what other protocols and procedures are being put in place at the height, because, you know, that's overseen by the Port Authority, the New York Port Authority, New Jersey and New York Port Authority. But they haven't talked about that. They haven't talked about temperature checking or anything like that
I went to go meet
in this
with
article.
a client a couple days ago, and they stopped us, and the woman pointed the thing at my forehead to check my temperature, before they would let us in the building.
But you wonder, what are you checking for? You checking for it to be 98, 96? Like, what number do you know to be if you're not a medical provider?
The number is 100. It's a low-grade fever standard, right? Which is 100 or 100.1, something like that. I think, 100.1. Right?
100.1.
The 100 point, not 101 point, but 100.1. That's low-grade fever. Right?
Okay,
if
so
that's the standard.
So the other things that they're saying, that individual airlines, again, see, this is what the problem is. Everybody's not working together. Individual airlines are starting to require face coverings. Because I've always had a thing about that on a plane. Every time you get on the plane, somebody's always coughing. Why are you always coughing when you get on the plane? You were sitting out in the area where it was real open. We're sitting here for 2 hours waiting for our flight. No noise except talking. You get on the plane and now you're coughing.
On a plane that recycles air.
Exactly. They also said the measures that will include plastic barriers installed at counters between the customers and the employees, stickers on the ground, tall and yellow freestanding signs that they'll place throughout the terminal, reminding people to keep social distancing. I don't think any of this is going to work because, first of all, as soon as they say group 4, you got group 3, 2, and 1 standing up there blocking the area to get on the plane. So I don't know how they're going to do all this. You got little kids running around and playing in the airport until they get on the plane. Then they get on the plane and they crying and carrying on for what? I guess because their ears are popping and stuff. So I think this is going to be really difficult. Again, what is this going to look like in our world for us as we start to move around? Because like you said, we can't stay sheltered in place forever because there will be, I don't know, more divorces, too many babies, not enough hospitals.
It may be all of that in one house, right, Diane? More babies get a divorce than a...
Right? They have a more advanced HEPA system so that you would get... that's the other thing. There's recirculated air in all of those places. So if there's recirculated air in all those places, as you come up with a more stringent HEPA system that's going to make sure that it gets 100% or whatever the highest number possible of virus particles out of the air before that air gets blown back in. I haven't heard any of that. I haven't heard any reconstruction.
I talked about that before, about putting something inside the HVAC in the air filtration and the filter through clean air or something like that. And then I said, well, what about the planes? Why not just spray everybody and just make it good? But then you got diseases and other illnesses that come from it. I don't know. There's a lot to think about with that. Well, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to... Look, if you got to go through all of that, I'm not getting on a plane. I'm not getting on a bus. I'm not getting on any of those things. That's what I was saying. You get these groups of people. If I'm like your husband, Diane, I'm putting a hazmat suit on with gloves and the whole bit. No. There's some things that you have to do, some things you don't. My daughter wants to go see her sister up in Oregon. She goes, Daddy, I'm going to take a plane. I said, why? Why can't you wait? Why do you have to go now? I just think that they haven't figured all these things out yet. And I'd like to see some other people be guinea pigs and not my kids and not me.
Right. I don't want my child to be the canary in the coal mine either. And I think that that's one of the most important things that I look at is non-essential travel. Yeah. If you don't have to go, don't go. If it's not life or death, no, I'm sorry. The other thing is that we have become, in this world of social distancing, we've also become more socially vocal. So those things like people coughing and sneezing and all that stuff, no, people are very quick now to say, take that over there.
You know what I've realized? I was in Home Depot last week before last, and you social distancing, I'm good with this. I'll always get a card to make sure that I can still push you away from me and so we got space. And I've learned, even if I'm going for one thing, get that card. That's protection right there. But then there's people that walk up on your behind, 20 feet behind, not even 20 feet, 20 inches behind you. I have realized that I can still mean mug you without you seeing my whole face. Because apparently I mean mugged somebody in Home Depot, and the sales clerk turns around and started laughing. I'm like, did she not see me? Why is she walking up on me? Do you know 6 feet means you have to change your pace on how you walk? You can't be speeding through places. Because you know why? Because people like me might stop, and then you run right into me.
Mm-hmm.
But I realize this is the way people drive as well, so I don't know.
Well, first, thanks for introducing me to the mean back. But yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, it is a total different thing where I am completely cautious to people. I'm like, no. Excuse me, you are too close. You need to step away. Or if you are in that much of a rush, please go before me. Because I'm not trying to go through that. I'm not trying to catch that.
Yeah, it's real simple, right? Just give me my space. I saw Farrakhan up at the farmers market on Monday, and I appreciate. I didn't mention it when I saw him, but I appreciated your social distancing shirt But I think that part of the challenge that we're having is you've got several schools of thought, but the primary schools of thought are one, I'm going to wear my mask, I'm going to keep social distancing, no, don't shake my hand, kind of thing. And then you've got the other people who, kind of listen to what the conspiracy theorists have said. And so they say, I'm not going to wear a mask, I'm going to be defiant, and not only am I not going to wear a mask, I'm going to get in your face and I'm going to talk to you because you bought into this line of BS that the government has been selling, and I'm going to teach you. And what do I say to them, Vincent? Go sit your ass down.
See, and you're a lot nicer than I am because Diane's got the mean mug and I got the look, bro. I'm about 2 seconds away from giving you a left and a right.
No. There was a dude who, I told you about the electrician when he came, Diane. I told Mr. Lee, I said, put your mask on, man. But I've had to be a little more stern than that with people who've walked up on me, and I'm like, yo, man, back up. No expletives yet, but very close. Hey, listen, I was listening to de Blasio today, and we were talking about the fireworks yesterday when Deidre was on. Apparently, this thing is everywhere. And so now they're going to be performing sting operations in New York to try to get a handle on these fireworks. So do you think this is just going to go?
That's the crazy part.
You think what?
I'm sorry. They made it legal to buy at Walmart, and now they want to get back and expect people to have some etiquette to it, and that's crazy. The reason it's so bad this year is because, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, why the hell? I mean, who's going over to the PA to get fireworks right now? But what it is, they're selling fireworks in Walmart. So
yeah, and ShopRite.
Right.
Yeah, but
so
you know what though? Just because
there's no rule on the box when you buy
listen,
fireworks.
but Farrakhan, they sell steak knives in Walmart. That doesn't mean people are out there throwing them at folks. Do you understand what I'm saying? So yeah, you go get a steak knife, but there's certain ways and places to use it, and so for people to go and get it just because you can purchase it doesn't mean that you're shooting them off at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh no, I'm not arguing. I'm with you. I'm just saying that right now they let the cat out the bag, I guess is what I'm saying, right? They when they changed these rules and said, okay, Walmart, ShopRite, you can now sell this stuff. What did they think was going to happen?
I think that they may have hoped that people would use some restraint, right? And yeah, at 3 in the afternoon, 8:00 at night, maybe even 9, maybe at the latest 10:00 at night, you're shooting fireworks. That's cool. 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Come on. I honestly don't think that anybody.
That's killing me. I'm hearing it, and it's like because it'll die down for a minute. Like nobody will be shooting none off. And like you said, it'll be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then somebody just goes besides and shoots off some damn thing that sounds like World War III is going down. And I'm like, just out the blue, it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
That's what we're talking about.
It's ridiculous, man.
But I don't think that anybody who decided to allow Walmart or ShopRite to sell them thought that that somebody would do that. I mean, because look, the reality is this: people used to drive across state lines to get fireworks illegally, right? And or somebody would, and then they come into the neighborhood and sell them. That's how I used to get them when I was a kid. But we still never shot them off at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I always had cherry bombs, I had firecrackers, I had the what were they, the M80s or whatever they were.
Eric, that's because you knew it was illegal. See, now that they have made it legal in America, in Jersey, it's like, and even in New York City, I suppose, right? It makes it's like you sneak when you're doing things illegal. So you do it, when you figure it's okay. So back when we had to drive to Philly or New York or somewhere else to get it, yeah, we knew, okay, we'll set them off a certain time during the daytime. By 10 o'clock, we done stop. Right? Everybody knew that. But now that you can get them at Walmart and ShopRite, it apparently feels legal. It's like, man, I can do this whenever I want. So now the mentality changes. You're not sneaking. You're not trying to do it in the confines of when you won't get in trouble. And that's the whole. And that's the thing.
And that is the whole thing.
Right. So they don't feel they're going to get in trouble, so they can just do it all they want now.
Right, and we had a level of decorum, understanding, and respect for our elders who did not mind either tearing our behinds up or telling on us that what we were doing. So what we were dealing with is a group of children who don't. In fact, their parents can't even control them. I mean, because let's look at it. They out 3 o'clock in the freaking morning.
They were out last night on my street. I guess we walked the dog 8:30, 9 o'clock. Some kids at the top of the street, because we have a municipal parking lot at the top of our street. I think I must cuss them out before I got to the parking lot, when I got to the parking lot, to the fact that them kids got on their bikes and pedaled away. And my husband said, and then they try, kids try to talk smack. Teenagers. My husband said, I'll let this dog loose on you. You better get them moving. And they got on their bikes and they pedaled away. And this morning, all you see is the remnants of their unfinished fireworks. And my husband and I just throw them in the garbage. I said, look, because, again, people don't stand up to the kids and tell them what the requirements are of the community. These are the requirements.
There you go. You need to hire
You can't legislate stupid all the time, but sometimes, you need a little push.
Yes, and that's good community service or good community policing. Because you shouldn't have to legislate them. There should be a level of understanding when somebody come up and talk to you that there are some adults on the block that you just don't mess with.
And I get that kids want to have fun and kids want to do it and all of that, but you got some grown folks out here being stupid too. You really do. And when it comes to property values, when it comes to somebody setting somebody's roof on fire, we start to look at things a little bit differently. Because if we lose our house, then what do we have? What do we have?
Majority of us, nothing.
Yeah.
Listen, I say we take to the streets and we go get all them bastards. I'm telling you, you gotta meet force with force. You can't go into that crowd of people who already know that they're being heathenistic, right? By shooting off fireworks at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can't go and have a civil conversation with them. You gotta go and like Farrakhan said, meet them where they are. You already know their mentality.
Eric?
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, you are right. And I think that maybe one of the easiest ways to do it is if you have to have a heart or an adult conversation with your parents. Like, look, this is what you're doing.
But even the parents are suffering from arrested development, right? So I'm telling you, they all look. My kid.
The parents are just glad they out the house because they sick of looking at them all day.
There you go. Because my kid wouldn't be out there, right? And there's a reason my kid wouldn't be out there, and there's a reason that other kid is out there. But I fear that there are more adults out there doing this than the kids are.
Oh yeah, that's just bad.
Then they're not really adults; they're grown kids.
Yeah, well, yeah. In adult bodies, this is true.
Like you said, Diane, they're on bicycles. I know none of them kids on bicycles rode their bike to shop, right?
No. Because these kids were under 16. Yeah.
Right. So you know that it was an adult that went and got those fireworks and gave it to them kids.
It's the same way as when we were kids, and you could pay the local drinker to run in there and get you a 40-40. Or whatever you call it, a mad dog for you.
Wow! You ain't go for the night train?
Yeah. We didn't drink that. I don't know that about. That's my old stuff. We were 40-40. Mad dog 40s up here. And not just a sip. You drink the whole bottle until you throw up everything.
There you go. Everything.
That's like the best lesson of the world.
Youthful exuberance. But I mean, there's a thing of youthful exuberance, and then there's a thing of, okay, you know, because when you did that, you didn't do it around no adults, right?
Oh, absolutely not. You grew up around adults because by then you was trying to come up with excuses as to why you were so sick. Other than that, no.
Exactly. And these kids have to learn, you know, part of that is the discretion to know when to do your fireworks and where.
That's okay. They'll be back. I look forward to having them back. Well, they may not be back. They'll choose another location, but it's okay.
I think they'll choose another location because they can't outrun that dog.
Definitely can't outrun this dog.
Look, we gotta stop calling that thing a dog. It's not a dog.
It's a miniature horse.
It's a black bear.
He is now officially 150 pounds. Still going.
See.
Wow.
That's not a dog.
Still going.
So anyway, hey guys, listen. When affirmative action was white, get the book, read the book. We're gonna be talking about it.
That's right.
I'm looking.
Get you all inked up again.
Well,
Get ready.
Get your blood pressure going.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put on my dashiki.
Have you been reading, Eric?
I have. I would know.
Really?
I'm not
Which chapter
reading.
you
I've been
on?
listening to it. I have the.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the
Audible.
Yeah.
Oh,
I do too. The audio book.
You did that? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Because I know Kevin told me he's going to be tuning into that one, with us as well. Because you know that was his pick.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
When affirmative action.
I'm gonna go outside after the show. I'm gonna kick my feet up. Make me a
smoothie.
an Uptown, and I'm gonna put it on, and I'm gonna listen to the rest of it today.
Sounds good. Well, enjoy your day. In a few seconds, it'll be 12 o'clock exactly.
Uh-oh. See, listen to her. So listen, guys, thank you all for tuning in. We covered a lot today. And look, the reality is that, you know, we are not post COVID-19. It's going to be here for a while. So please, please, please be cautious. And I'm going to talk to my daughter and tell her don't get on that doggone plane.
Right? Absolutely not. I'll give you a perfect example when we hang up with somebody I know that went and now has COVID.
All right, and I'm
your age.
Thank you guys.
I'm talking to my wife today about driving my daughter to Florida tomorrow.
Well, if she waits, she could ride with us down there because we driving down here next week.
If you go to Florida, don't you have to quarantine?
Oh, I don't know. I'm going into Georgia. Georgia is on quarantine. So we take it.
Florida, you have to do a 14-day quarantine once you get there.
Now, who monitors you?
Farrakhan, who going to check me, boo?
Now that she bring the dog,
Diane,
now that she bring the dog, ain't nobody going to need her.
Look, I'm fine with that. I'm not going to hang out down there anyway. I'm going to visit family and stay in one location. That's it. We rent a house and we hang out at the house and stuff. So I'm good with that.
There we go.
But yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning
Go
in.
figure.
I'll check you out. Farrakhan, I still have you locked in on the 30th. I'll see you there, man. If you look, you see I look a little like Wolverine from yeah.
I got you. Just listen. Don't bother it. Just let it go on out, and on Tuesday we get you right.
Yeah, I'm not touching it. Look, the last time I did it, man, I wound up with 3 bald spots up top. We're not doing that.
Farrakhan, thanks for the tip. I went to my barber Monday and really checked them on some stuff that they should have done, you know, in terms of keeping it safe and clean and healthy. I even got on him about 4 times about putting his mask on. So I appreciate you giving me the heads up.
No doubt. You know what I'm saying? Everybody just got to pay a little attention. That's all.